We are on Tes Zion. We're on Tes Zion. Sukkah Tes Zion 16. Mita metamis chavilo umitaheres chavilo. If you have a bed that became tamei, and something tamei fell on it, the whole thing becomes tamei. Similarly, you can put the whole bed into a mikveh or hazah with paraduma as one thing. Divrei Rabbi Eliezer. Chachamim are metames evorim, that even if the bed was in pieces, it can become tamei. Umetaheres evorim. You could also put the pieces in the mikveh. So, my niyu. What are these pieces? We're talking about one of these long sticks at the bottom of the bed connected to the two legs. Or ktsara ushtei kraim, or the headpiece with the two legs. So there, according to the Chachamim, those things are independent parts of the bed, and therefore can be metame individually. You can lean it up against the wall and sit on it. You use like shmatis as the schach psula. My bloy kelim or rabbi matloni yashen b'em shalosh shoyz. Let's say you have material, and they're smaller than 3 by 3 tfachim. 3 by 3 etzbos, which because they're so small, they're not roy for anything. And you might think you could use it for schach. You can't. The lo chazid, the lo lanim, lo lashirim, and therefore you might think they're not mekabel tumah, but because they were kalim, and these are like shivrei kalim, they're excluded from use of schach. You have mats of rubber, some kind of grass. Even though they're smaller than the amount normally that they're needed to be makabel tumah, ein mesachachin behen. Again, because they're kli, you cannot use it as schach. Now, machzelas akanim, let's say you have mats made out of reeds. Gedola, if it's big, which was not made to sit on, and therefore it's only made for schach, mesachin bo. But ketana mesachin bo. But if it's small and therefore people would sit on it, since it's got the status of a kli, you can't use it for schach. It's ein chanami. It's mekabel tumah because it's a kli, and certainly you can't use it as schach. Achoytet begodish. We talked about having a haystack in a field, and there's within the middle of it, a space was created, but you can sit there. And therefore, the question was, could you use it as a sukkah? The Mishnah said you can't. If the haystack did not start with a space of at least 1 tefach by 7 tefachim, then you can't. If you enlarge it to make it a proper oil, so you can go inside of it, Rashi says, Nimtza sham schach al osa godish, and there is, the walls are made out of the hay, and the top is made out of the hay. If you create with inside the haystack 10 tfachim, so ein zu asiyoso. Sharei einam etaken elad tfanos. It's not like you made this, you made the walls, and the walls, there's no problem with tasev osi, right? With fanos lamin, you could, for example, you could go into let's say you have a patio. All you need is kosher schach. That's the part that has to be tasev lomina osi. It can't be created without l'shem sukkah. So in that case, the haystack could be used. Tanya Ma'achi, if you make a internal space within a haystack, hareza sukkah, vanat not ain't a sukkah. There's another mission says no, and lav shmai nakid ravuna. Depends if you start with the proper space. Shmamina. Other people ask a kasha. It's not achoyted begodish lasos sukkah in a sukkah. I vatanya rezu sukkah. So you have two steers. Ravuna loy kasha. Kan b'sheish chalal tefach b'mechsel shiva. Kan b'shein shal she'ein sham chalal tefach b'mechsel shiva, like we learned. Mishnah. Hamishal shel defanes milmala lamata. You have suspended walls that you lower from above to the ground. Im gavom and arch tvachim, if these walls do not reach to 3 tvachim of the ground, psula, because an animal can enter in the sukkah. However, if it goes to within 3 tvachim of the ground, we use lavud, and we say that it's okay. Now, if you are raising walls, milmata milmala, as long as you have in gavoa sor tvachim ksheva, as long as you have a wall that's 10 tvachim, we don't care how much distance there is between the wall and the schach, according to the Mishnah, even if the wall doesn't reach the schach. Rabbi Yossi Yomer Kashem shel milmata lamala sor tvachim. So just like if you suspend a wall from above, once you have 10 tvachim, it's okay. Kach milmala mata sor tvachim. It has a din of a mechitza no matter what. So, what machlokas do they have? Mar sover, mechitza tliya materes, a hanging wall is a good wall. Umar sovar, mechitza tliya eina materes. It's not awesome. Bor shebein shtei chatzeres. You have a water cistern between 2 chatzers. Ein mamanu ena b'Shabbos, and they didn't make an eruv between each other. Each party cannot reach in and draw water. Ela im kein asal mechitza sar tfachim. There has to be a wall in the bore that separates the 2 sides of the bore, one to one person, one to another person. Then it becomes his reshus hayachid. Then it's not a problem, even though there was no eruv. Now, bein milmala, bein milmata, whether you suspend the wall from above down, bein b'toch ogner, whether it's within the lips of the board itself. No matter where you are above the bore, you can sort of fictionally draw the wall down, separate between the 2 chutzers. Milmata has to be in the water or close to the water. But there is already a wall between the 2 chatzeros. Doesn't have to be bigger than that wall. It seems like he's going like the sheet of Rabbi Yossi that says a hanging wall can be drawn down, even though if it's above the bore, you can draw it down. But velohi, it's not correct. Lo Rabbi Yehuda savlak Rabbi Yossi. Lo Rabbi Yossi savlak Rabbi Yehuda. Neither hold like each other. Lo Rabbi Yehuda savlak Rabbi Yossi. Ad kan lekam Rabbi Yehuda hasam. Ela be'eruv echatzeros rabbanon. Why is Rabbi Yehuda makel by this case of the bore? The whole thing about not caring between 2 chatzeros, midaraisa you can carry. It's just the chachamim required an eruv chatzeros. But by a sukkah, which is a din doraisa, they didn't agree to a hanging wall. The lo Rabbi Yossi savlak like Rabbi Yehuda. Ad kan lekam Rabbi Yossi yachel b'sukkah. The mitzvah saseh. He is makel by a sukkah. There's no averis here. Aval Shabbos isser skila lo. Because it might come because Shabbos is more chomer in general. Not by this case. This case is only rabbinic regarding eruvin. But since in the category of Shabbos there is isser skila, he's not makel. Now the im timer, maybe you'll tell me. Masa shenasa b'tzipori al pi manosa. There was a case in Sipoiri that they relied on a hanging wall. So who did they rely on? Lo al pi Rabbi Yossi, al pi Rabbi Shmuel, Rabbi Yossi. It was the son of Rabbi Yossi, Rabbi Shmuel, my Maisa. What was the story? They came to shul. On Shabbos, they needed to lane, and there was no Sefer Torah. They didn't bring it from somebody's private home. Or they came Friday night. They realized the next morning, Pirsu Sadinim al Gabi Amudim. There were poles on either side of the street. So they hung sheets to create a wall. And from the person's house to the shul, they had like a rishus. Viviu Sefer Torah. The karuba. How could they, from where did they bring these sheets? They're carrying the sheets on Shabbos. You can't do that. They found it. Somebody was washing their clothing and they were hanging out their sheets to dry. So they were found there. And they used Sefer Torah. There they used it as mechitzos to carry the Sefer Torah. So they relied it on mechitzah tluy, but that's the son of Rabbi Yossi, not Rabbi Yossi himself. Amr Chizram Ravini. Machzeles arba umashu materes besukkah mishum doifen. Let's say you have from the ground to the top of where the schach is, you have schach, and you only have a mat that's 4 and a little bit of tefach, 4 and a little bit. So the eitzah is put it in the middle, all around. You make sure you're within 3 tefachim of the ground, so you can use lavud. And then it's 4 and a little bit, you have lavud up above. So you can, that's the minimum amount of wall you can get away with. Machzelas arbo mashu materes besukkah b'shum doifen. Hechi yovet toile be'em, so you hang it in the middle. Pachos mishloish l'matu, pachos mishloish l'mala. Right, use love in both directions. The whole pachos mishloish k'lavu dami. So the Gemara says pshita. Well, what kind of chiddush is this? We know the din of lavud. So ma'od is chad lavud amrinan, trei lavud lo amrinan. Mashman no. So this is the first time we're using lavud in both directions. We understand if you bring a wall down and it's within 3 tefachim of the ground, we draw the wall down imaginarily down to the wall. But here we're using a mat in the middle, using lavud above and lavud below. So I needed to be told that I could use lavud in both directions. Esvei machzelas shiva umashu materes besukkah b'shum doifen. It doesn't say you need 7 in a little bit, which implies you only can go lavud in one direction. Where it says kitani b'sukkah gedola. That's with a sukkah that's going to be 10 amas, 4 by 4 tefachim and 10 amas high. But by a 7 tefachim sukkah, the 4-1 would work. Now what? That price is like Rabbi Yossi that you need at least 7 and a mashu to use lavud. Anything smaller than Rabbi Yossi wouldn't work. Amravami, pasar bo mashu matri besukkah mishum doifen. A panel 4 and a mashu is enough for a wall. Has to be within 3 tefachim next to a wall, because for pachos mishlam doifen kalavu dami. Again, we use lavud. Again, what's the chiddush? We learned this before. Kamashman shir meshach sukkah k'tana shiva. This will work even for a 7 by 7 tefachim sukkah. You might think it shouldn't work, lavud, but it'll work even by a small sukkah. Yud Zayin Amud Aleph. Mario, you want to do something?